Hello, everyone, and welcome back to These Guys Again, film podcast, where once a week we gather around a table to discuss film news, previews, do some reviews, then pull up some pews, get real close, and talk about another in-depth hot topic.
Hot topic.
Hot topic.
Mark's incredibly enthused about this. This is the latest podcast we've done in some ever, actually. It's actually the latest one we've done.
That is correct.
We're all very tired, but we're motivated because of the great films we saw. Maybe motivated's not the great word because you also saw The Room.
Broken.
But we'll get into that. What's the news?
What's the news? First of all, Jessica Jones season 2 has been confirmed, although it doesn't have a concrete release date yet. So that'd be interesting to see where that goes.
And that's at least 3 Marvel series this year.
Yeah. If it's this year, it's not had a...
Okay, so it's not actually been confirmed.
It's been confirmed, but no release date.
No release date. Okay.
So it will be made at some point. Assassin's Creed... The film has wrapped. Fassbender said that he thinks they have something special. Of course, he's going to say that, but with the cast, director, and production team that's behind it, it could be something worth seeing. Something slightly different to your standard video game movie. So quite excited for that.
Something that's not crap.
Something that's not crap, exactly. Jurassic Park will be roaring back onto our screens not necessarily our screens, but UK screens in November, accompanied with a live cinema orchestra as to spotlight composer John Williams' score. There's no announcement about what theatres or cinemas will be showing it yet. Be surprised if it comes as far north as Aberdeen, but it will
Maybe
be
Glasgow,
it will
maybe.
be countrywide in November. So that's
So at least there's an opportunity to...
something to really look forward to because it's a fantastic score. Makes the film.
In a field with dinosaurs.
Very briefly touch on the Critics' Choice Awards last week. Leonardo DiCaprio and Brie Larson picked up Best Actor and Best Actress respectively for The Revenant and The Room. Although neither of them were in attendance. But the most interesting thing to me from the Critics' Choice was that Mad Max wiped the floor. George Miller picked up Best Director, and then it picked up all sort of the craft award. Well, not all, but a lot of the craft awards. It got editing, visual effects, costume design, hair and makeup, and production design. And it also won the action movie category with Best Film, Best Actress, and Best Actor in the action movie subgenre. Sadly, George Miller wasn't there to pick up any of the awards, but hilariously he sent the 5 wives along to collect the awards.
Yeah.
I think it's quite apt that it gets those awards, though, like as far as, like you said, the craft awards, because it was such a hands-on approach to doing the film. It was very much almost everything was practical.
And especially when filming started, like it was 2010.
Yeah.
And just that long drawn-out process of trying to get it.
And at least it paid
finished.
off.
Yeah, there's a
and to be as good as it was,
I noticed a very interesting thing on Reddit. The Godfather epic was being streamed on HBO, and essentially what that is, it's Francis Ford Coppola has taken Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, remastered them, chopped them up so they play out chronologically as one solid film with extra scenes that have never been seen in a theatrical version. This was released. It was aired on NBC in 1977 and released on video in a slightly shorter version in 1981. But that's all it's ever been. So this is a remastered version that's being streamed on HBO. So fingers crossed we might see a DVD
a
or
proper release,
a proper
physical release.
It's almost like a cheeky bootleg.
Yeah. So we might see something proper in the future, which I think would be fantastic because that's something that'd be really interesting to see.
Especially if this generates enough hyper attention to justify it.
Yeah.
A Godfather prequel.
Star Wars has crossed the $1 billion mark in the foreign box office, so it's the 5th film in history to do that now, and it's still gaining traction. Related to that, sadly, but could be good for... It is a good thing in the long run. Episode 8's release date's been pushed back from May of 2017 to December of 2017, which could be nice because it's going to bring... I loved seeing Episode 7 over Christmas because it had that kind of holiday movie feel. Kind of reminds me of like what The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings were like.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to say. I actually was saying to Irv a while ago, I wanted it to be released at Christmas.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, so it becomes a Christmas event.
Yeah, exactly.
So all the Star Wars and the anthology films are going to be Christmas events, which I've recovered from hearing I'd have to wait longer to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Quite happy about that.
I do think it adds this level of sentimentality being able to see it at the end of the year around Christmas time.
I agree.
They said it's the same thing with Lord of the Rings, Hobbit films, things like that.
And related to that, with this was announced Friday morning, was that Avatar 2 has now abandoned its Christmas 2017 opening, whether that's because Star Wars stepped up or James Cameron just decided, it's not going to be ready, let's just take a step back, and Disney sort of slid Star Wars in. Either way, it's good for Star Wars, and who knows what's going to happen with Avatar.
Yeah.
It's being delayed all the time.
And also Ride Along 2 knocked Star Wars off the American box office.
You mean the juggernaut that is Ride Along 2? The cinematic masterpiece, Ride Along 2.
The charisma freight train.
Sadly, Deadpool will not be screening in China because it has been too difficult to edit out the violence and sex. Apparently, it's too central to the plot.
It is the plot.
It's kind of the core idea to Deadpool is that it's lewd.
Yeah.
That it's like inappropriate.
But that's what you want from a romantic comedy.
Exactly, on Valentine's Day.
I know.
It's just a shame though, because of the way the Chinese rating system works. There's no way around it.
Especially since a lot of films have picked up huge success in China, and China has actually contributed quite a lot to several sort of box offices, well, internationally. When you look at films in the past that have made it because of the reception in China.
Yeah. And also he had a beautiful, touching moment for the Australia Day.
Oh yeah, the Australia Day video is it's very funny. It's worth looking that up. It's been quite an intense week for DC for their cinematic universe moving forward. They did a live stream reveal of the Dawn of the Justice League, which you watched, Irv.
Or at least I was deceived to be watching. It was something like, was it TBD or something? It was like live stream coming and all these hours and minutes, and then it got to that, 3, 2, 1. Streamer will be with you shortly. And it was like that for about 3 hours as everyone was losing their minds, and then there's all the Google Hangout live comments of the melting sad faces. They're like, why is this happening? So, and then it's just when you see the dislike bar just
shoot up. Join the dark side.
Yeah. So there was only just what the news outlets were reporting.
Okay,
so we're getting first look. Well, essentially, it's introducing the masses to the Justice League and
through concept art and
so you're getting sort of a rough look of what they're built up. So it's Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. Then also it's just a 6-man team. So you're getting Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman.
Yeah,
and we saw a concept of what they want the Flash to look like.
Yeah.
So we'll see Aquaman in Batman versus Superman. Obviously, you'll see Wonder Woman. Possibly Cyborg. I mean, he's
supposed
tiny
to
role.
be. Yeah,
but is he going to be Cyborg? Is it just going to be?
I think it might just be
a cameo as the character.
Vic Stone.
Yeah,
'cause I think he's playing in the football match.
Yeah.
So,
but as well as that, in the most recent run of comics and in the animation that they did, the most recent animation that was done, which was Justice League War.
Yeah,
that's all based on the new iteration.
Yeah,
but his origin story is tied in with the first Justice League story.
Yeah.
So they will probably happen within the same time frame.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Flash is the one that's probably going to be separate. I can't see them tying the Flash origin story in. It just feels like it'd be its own, because he gets hit by lightning.
Yeah,
that's his thing, and it just doesn't seem something that'd be central.
Yeah.
Well, because as far as I'm aware, I mean, there was talk a while ago, I can't remember if it was an interview or what, but it was the only mention of the Flash is that he's already, apparently he already exists in the universe.
Yeah.
And Batman's talking to Alfred about him or something, like he already exists, so he doesn't have an origin.
Yeah, exactly. We don't necessarily need to see exactly what happened, kind of thing. As well,
although, like you said, it could happen in 20 seconds. You could find out, like you tell a story.
They could say, one of the things I read was this. The statement was he can run through walls.
Yeah,
which is a weird, because I know they don't always do that, but that's an interesting one to do, because it's a bit of a, it's one of those things where they take the speed thing and they're like, what can you do loosely with speed?
Move through molecules.
And they take it to every extreme.
Yeah, because that's been pushed a lot in the TV show.
It
Like
has,
he does all
yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see where.
But
it
that's
goes
the thing
with
as
all
well.
that.
Like you said, there's a TV series that's been doing really well.
Fantastically well.
And that's the thing. So people have a jumping on point with the character already.
Because like the Flash concept looks really cool. It's really tech based. It looks like DC Online sort of design.
Yeah,
To differ it, but I think a lot of folk will be it'll be difficult for them to buy him as Barry Allen because
He doesn't really.
Yeah.
He's not the sort of person I would pick.
No, exactly.
But then again, I wouldn't have picked Momoa for Aquaman.
No, I think he could be quite good.
But it's
Yeah.
but what I mean is
the-
he's nothing like Arthur Curry.
yeah.
90s Arthur Curry though.
No, he's
But it looks really good in the concept art and when it's animated and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like
as long as we don't go hook hand and comics have long hair Aquaman again
Yeah,
with a giant
yeah.
beard. I just know.
That could happen.
I like Goldfish Aquaman.
But following on from that, we also got a quick look at Wonder Woman. Got a minute-long teaser, which I think looks fantastic. The production
Yeah,
values
yeah.
are great. I mean, they're kind of selling the whole DC cinematic universe with this kind of greeny blue filter over the
Superman
whole thing.
filter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Superman. That's going on in Wonder Woman as well. It's fine. But it works for Wonder Woman. You know, it's set in World War One.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really gives it a nice visual quality just from what we've seen there.
Yeah. Is it coming out? Which one's that's coming out before Batman though, isn't it?
What?
It goes Wonder Woman is the
Batman's solo one.
Batman's solo film.
It must be.
not sure. It's 2017, but it's the one that they're pushing. They've got the logo. They've got all
Yeah.
the instant.
Yeah, so it's
Instagrams,
clearly
all
the most
media
further
stuff.
along. So yeah, so it will probably be the next
It'll
one.
be after Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Saying that, we also got the first full trailer for Suicide Squad. It's absolutely fantastic.
Pretty glorious.
It's such a great trailer. I have to say that I loved Man of Steel, and I'm looking forward to Batman versus Superman because I think Ben Affleck's going to be the best on-screen Batman, the best on-screen Bruce Wayne that we've seen. But overall, I've not been terribly excited about the DC cinematic universe. I'll see the films, but it's just a bit meh to me. But with simultaneously Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, I'm all in. I love it. I love the look of it now.
Chips are on the table.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting, especially since what I've heard about how they're tackling Wonder Woman as a character and not the kind of balance they're trying to strike sounds very interesting. No, it's like I said, they're at least showing enough now to try and convince people.
Yeah.
I think that he will Ben Affleck will be the best Batman since Val Kilmer.
I do like Val Kilmer. He's the only one that smiles.
Smile and pout, Val Kilmer.
Ben Affleck's got a smile.
Yeah.
He's got a proper Batman smirk.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Finally, production on the highly anticipated HBO drama Westworld has apparently been shut down. Craig, you were going to say something?
Yeah,
about
no, Westworld, if you don't know, it's Michael Crichton, isn't it? Michael Crichton who did the Jurassic Park novels. And then he also did Westworld, and the idea of Westworld is that it is a theme park again, or it's one of these sort of studio sort of theme park land sort of things, but all the actual Western characters in it are androids.
Oh yeah.
And it's about them being in this setting, and they're essentially captive, but they're not aware of it. But it's about them becoming almost self-aware, because the thing is they're programmed to have these personalities, but how do they react when everything out with
something new in the mix?
Yeah, exactly. When they realize their setting and how things change, and but apparently there's lots of rumors going about. So I don't want to go into any specifics, but supposedly there has been a lot of drama behind the scenes to do with, which is affecting, like, they need to
Production,
rewrite. There's stuff to do with rewrites, stuff to do with cast changes, and there's apparently just been several issues of drama behind the scenes, which is a shame, because that was supposed to be the first quarter of this year. It was going to be coming out. It was going to be, was it March or April sort of time? So it wasn't far off. And by the sounds of it, with everything that's happening, there's a lot of
production
change required. And it already slowed down production, supposedly. But when they released a teaser a few months ago, and the quality of it looked amazing.
The statement, the official statement from HBO was just, as we head into the final phase of production on Westworld, we've made the decision to take a brief hiatus in order to get ahead of the writing. So
wait and see how it goes. I'm not quite sure how long the series is. It's HBO, so it's not going to be long format. But there's been so many different things being said that it does make you think. Hopefully, because like I said, the polish of it looks. It's got Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, yeah.
And James Marsden.
I love James. He's the boy.
He's grown as an actor. He has actually over like considering he was like one of these romantic comedy guys, and he's just
Cyclops, Superman, Stepdad, Anchorman 2.
So many key roles, but
he's great. He's great.
I'm hoping it comes out fine and it turns out okay. But it just sounds like there's a lot of different rumors that have been coming out at different points to the drama, and the only issue is there's so many different things reporting on it that you think
you can never going to get a straight answer with these sorts of things. That's the problem. It's just it's sad that it has,
especially when it's the serialized format, and if you don't have to write in, then you know.
And there's been and as a result, since that teaser, there's been no advertising from HBO, so that lets you know it's probably a bit off.
I'm also trying to remember, what are they juggling at the moment? Well, there's maybe like Leftover season 3,
Game of Thrones, and they always do their own miniseries every so often to kind of fall under the radar. But this is one that I think they were going to. It was one of their. It wasn't sort of an arty sort of thing. It was quite. Like again, it's the Jurassic Park kind of idea. It's about it was about being quite big and about being quite shiny and spectacular, and it's just kind of halted. Yeah, because that was the first I'd heard about it in ages.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that's the end of the news. On to our next short segment. Mm-hmm. We have literally just finished enjoying a screening of Reservoir Dogs with Craig. Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole point was me seeing Reservoir Dogs.
Time for our first Tarantino 2 minutes with Craig.
Because for anyone who doesn't know, when we went to go our first episode this year was what I was going to say Django Changed, but
Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight, and obviously before that I'd only seen the monumental Tarantino classic that is Death Proof. So this was my first. Well, this is what a lot of people consider the best Tarantino film as well.
One of the best.
Yeah. Okay, so I will share my thoughts on this because we have literally come here and I said nothing about it.
Yeah, bear in mind it's the first time you have ever seen it.
Yeah, it's the first time, and first off, I was surprised. I knew nothing about it. Went off the title, assumed I was going to get something about dogs along the lines of Homeward Bound, but instead I found that it was a film about essentially a heist and hitmen, and that was utterly disappointing as a lover of dogs. Going into it, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be prepared. I've always said I think Tarantino's a very interesting writer, but he does the talk about this is my opinion on something, and you want to hear how I think of it in this way, and he just starts talking for ages. And
Craig don't care.
I understand it worked in this film, especially in the beginning, because we're just seeing all these characters around a table, and you just hear them talk, and you get an idea of a group dynamic, which works quite well. And you get like Mr. Pink, played by Buscemi. You get a very good idea of who he is by the way he protests things. And, you know, it gives you it gives you a good look into it, even though you don't know necessarily who these characters are in the beginning. And I actually quite liked the way that we see everything but the actual main piece of drama, because the most important part of it is the actual heist.
Yeah.
And a great way to keep your budget in line is to not show that key event in your film. But it did a good job of jumping us around enough. I did kind of expect everything to be like have a bow on it in the way that we would see each person's flashback
all the way through,
because obviously you get all these different flashbacks to Mr. White, Mr. You know, like you see all these different ones. But
Mr. Blonde,
for example, Mr. Blue, we saw
nothing.
Absolutely nothing. He was just an extra person. And they're like, yeah, he's dead. Mr. Brown,
it's a little too close to Mr. Shit.
Those, but I have to say I really enjoyed the way it was paced and the way it worked and the way the story went. Some of the scenes, Madsen's scene where he's dancing and throwing out the petrol and all that I thought those scenes were really good. I love the way it was shot at points, because he intentionally leaves people speaking out of the shot sometimes, and you're just focusing on the person who's hearing it, which I thought was a really interesting way of doing it, because instead of going to the logical center points, he would just focus on the reactions of the subtle little things that people would have. Even when he's looking down a corridor and the person who's speaking is out of shot because all we can see is, what's the actor's name? Mr. White.
Harvey Keitel.
All we're seeing is Harvey Keitel, and he's doing nothing. He's literally just standing there. So those shots are really interesting. Same with when characters are pacing, he doesn't follow them with the camera. He just keeps it locked on the center, and they can come and go from the shot as they please. I thought those were really sort of, they were things that stood out that really did separate.
The great thing about Tarantino, one of the things that he made a name for, that this is the first thing, like his first writing and directorial debut, as it were, and obviously made a name for himself. But his style of storytelling, and the fact that he's got this one major or one event, and then everything else is flashbacks or simultaneous timelines that all lead up and tie together, and you can see the way, like, you'll see more of that in future films. But that's the sort of the kernel of that sort of style, which I think works probably the best in Reservoir Dogs.
The non-linear narrative.
Exactly.
But I really enjoyed it, especially like since I knew nothing about this going in. It did just end, but to be honest, I expect, even though I've not got a ton of experience from it, it's one of those things you hear about that Tarantino just likes to shock in a way.
Yeah.
And the ending comes where he would like to end it.
Yeah.
If he doesn't think the story can go any further, he ends it there. It's not to do with a shock factor. It's to do with, this is where it should stop.
Exactly. There's only so much that this story, only so many legs the story has. You don't want to drag it out.
I don't think he should have to do any more. I do like endings to have a bit more finality to them, but how it works, it's the same thing I know about Coen Brothers films, where it's like they end it in a very odd way. It's more about a statement behind the film rather than it being a proper conclusion.
Yeah, it worked really well though with those characters' arcs.
Yeah.
The only part I thought was a little bit weak for me was Mr. Who was it that Tim Roth's character was?
Mr. Orange.
Mr. Orange's flashback, because I felt like there was a lot of needless information there with a lot of it. But then again, that's because of the talk. Like, the talking.
The character.
Yeah.
Over development for.
There were little bits that were really interesting to have. The wedding ring thing and like loads of little bits to do with this character that made it work really well. But there was also stuff there that I just wasn't interested in.
I'm trying to remember, did you gasp when, like, he said at the end, like, I'm the cop to Curtin?
Yeah,
I thought it's really a deflating moment. I thought it was really good because he's gonna die.
Yeah.
And he just decided to say it, and it shows like a level of remorse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it shows like
and also breaks him as well.
Yeah, it's like you made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Like
because they're like the standouts like Keitel, Buscemi, and Roth.
But this is what the only thing that I thought was weird was we didn't see enough of those to interact for him to be like, I know this kid, I know him, and.
But it's not so much they had much interaction. It's the fact that they're trying to get away. He's taking a bullet. He's dying. Like he's just kind of relating to him on a human level more than like, I've known this guy for years and he's dying. It's more shit. This guy is dying.
Yeah.
Like, It's much more of a human thing than a friendship thing.
And also how that whole thing, you expect it to be like he gets shot by a cop or something.
Yeah.
And
it's just a suburban mother.
Just a woman in the car. Yeah.
Well, that was Tarantino 2 Minute. Longer than 2 minutes, but it's a catchy name.
We'll speed it up. It'll be fun.
Next week, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this because the thing with Pulp Fiction is I've done quite well of avoiding stuff, like avoiding the information, but there's still key things you hear about.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction will probably be longer than 2 minutes as well, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. I'll just speak incredibly quick.
On to the
main event.
Hot topic.
Hot topic. We don't really have a hot topic this week. We just have two review discussions.
On to the main discussion.
Well, this is the only film that we should say this now. This is the only film that all three of us saw. Have seen for this week, and that is Creed, which
a Scott Stapp biography. Sorry,
about the making of the Christian rock band Creed.
No, Creed.
Subtitle: Can you take me higher? But no, it's the. Well, here on the poster says Creed: The Rocky Legacy.
Yeah, no, it's not. Is it the Rocky Legacy? Or is
the poster outside our cinema says Creed: The Rocky Legacy.
I thought it was a Rocky Balboa Legacy.
Details.
Unnecessary.
All I seen was Creed.
But yeah, the title of the film is Creed. And this is a week behind for us essentially, but it's because we're at the point in the year where we're getting a lot of films at once. But this is one we were all looking forward to, and. I have to say, before this film slipped under the radar for a long time. Like it really feels like it was only announced a while ago.
I remember the trailer that last year, a long time ago.
But it's not been a huge ad campaign, has it?
No,
but
no.
it's getting a lot of praise. And I
Yeah.
have to say, the premise alone, when I heard the premise for this film, I loved the sound of it.
Yeah,
Because at first I was like, is this another Rocky film? Or, how he's really old now, but
Yeah.
the story about it being the son of Creed and then Rocky changing his role to that of the trainer, I thought was just even though it's a really cheesy idea, it fits in with the framework.
lore, yeah.
It fits in with the framework that the Rocky films sort of lay out, and for that I was all in from the start.
Yeah.
But did we all enjoy it? First off?
I thought
Yeah.
it was very, very good.
Did it not get you pumped like a Rocky film does as well?
It completely reinvigorates the Rocky franchise after Rocky Balboa, which I maintain was a great film.
I thought it was a great film.
I mean, you've not seen it, Irv, have you? You haven't
I've
seen
only
it.
seen clips. So
Yeah, so I maintain it was a great film, especially following after Rocky V, which was a letdown to finish the series on.
Yeah.
So Rocky Balboa was horrifically underappreciated.
But that's the thing, it was a really good film, but we thought that was the end of the story because it can't go any further.
Yeah,
as
well,
far
it
as-
can't go any further necessarily with Rocky's
as a
boxing
Rocky
career.
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it takes the formula of past Rocky films, particularly the first Rocky film, and just brings it fresher into a modern street setting, which is where Rocky came from.
But it inverts some of the
It
aspects.
takes some of the themes and turns it around, but carried extremely well by a fantastic performance from both Michael B. Jordan and Sly. So, I thought it was great. It's another Rocky film. I mean, you can't expect much more, but do you want much more?
I actually thought there was a lot of depth to this, though. To be
Yeah.
honest,
There's a lot of depth to
Yeah.
all the Rocky films.
But it's one of those things that it's almost sold as this sort of shallow boxing film.
Yeah.
Very little of
3,
it.
4, and 5 are shallow boxing films to
Yeah.
an extent. I mean, 4 has got the heartfelt death of Apollo Creed, which obviously leads into this. But 1 and 2, Balboa, and this, they've got the real.
It's
heart.
about a personal
Yeah.
struggle more than anything. But no,
It's
actually,
the underdog story, isn't it?
were you in agreement, or did you really enjoy it?
Yeah. I loved it.
Like as far
It was
as
a film I enjoyed most this year.
Yeah.
Just like film. It's like, yeah.
That's the thing is, I didn't look up anything beforehand going into this as well. I'd only seen a bit of a trailer, and that was about it. And a lot of credit, I think, goes to the director and
Writer and screenwriter.
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
say. He's had so much to do with this, and he's quite young. You said as well,
like 28.
Yeah.
which is
nuts.
mental. And
I mean, he's clearly taken this and brought it forward himself. It's
like
all
a passion project.
Yeah,
You see the
really
passion
a
in the project. But first of all, one of the things that stood out to me, and I'll ask you guys what you thought. What did you think of the way it's filmed? First off, because especially
I thought it was great. I mean, there's quite a few different things going on. I mean, the cinematographer Maurice Alberti had fantastic eye for some of the shots. I know, Craig, you already said that you thought this was great. I'll let you go into the fight itself. But one of the best things for me was the comparison between the two main fights. So you had the contrast between them almost. You had the almost gritty, in your face first fight with Leo, with the boxer.
Obviously. Boxing.
Obviously, no. With Leo, you had the really in your face shot. The whole fight's filmed in a single take.
Yeah.
Always, spinning round. And all that
it's
going
a
on.
very intimate one shot
Exactly,
take that just keeps rotating around the two of them.
And that's kind of tied into the low budget of the fight, if you will. It's almost street boxing, kind of that. It's come from that area compared to the final fight with the
Pretty Conlon, was it?
Pretty Conlon.
Yeah.
But that was
Like Friday night boxing.
that was full on bright lights, all these different angles, TV screen feeds. Had all the Rocky tropes, including like the slow mo knockout punch and all that sort of stuff. But the contrast between the two fights, I thought was fantastic.
Well, there's three, because the lighting difference from the Mexico fight, that middle fight, and the third fight, it's going from night to day. It's such a huge difference. And
that's also like how they treated him as well. It's like, all your past ones don't count. He's like, I've been fighting.
Yeah, exactly. But the camera work as well. The camera never shows anything below the waist because it's so close. The camera work is always so intimate, but
in that middle fight. Yeah,
no, that's even the other one. It shows the only ones. It does show angle shots, but there are a lot of points where it follows the person. Like if they're getting pushed to the corner, you're with the person being pushed to the corner, which is really good. But you don't feel like you're missing anything, even though being that close and basically having someone's back block off some of the shots sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just it's kind of a credit to the way it's choreographed as well, that you don't ever feel like you're missing something important. It's all kind of there, which I was really impressed by. As well as that, the shooting outside of that had some really interesting part. I did like the equivalent of the step run. The equivalent of like the street one.
Yeah.
I thought that was good as well.
Yeah.
Oh, one question as well, or you specifically, what did you think of the soundtrack to this?
Oh, I loved it. I was like, the hip hop trap hats.
It had that mixed with the old soundtrack.
Yeah. Especially when they like whip out the big guns at the end.
That one pang in the 12th round or the 11th round when he gets up. Bum, 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 bum. That's glorious.
Especially when it was just used really tastefully. Yeah, because they could have had like that going up the whole thing.
Through all the training montages and all that, it could have been punched in the whole way.
But
the orchestral score did have the same kind of feeling to it. Like half the time I was like, is this going to lead into that Rocky medley? But no, it was used very tastefully at the end.
What did you think of the performances for everyone involved? Like Sly got an award for this.
He won the Golden Globe. He's nominated for the BAFTA. I thought it was it's his best role in ages, and it's kind of thing that reminds you that Sylvester Stallone can actually act. You really felt the emotion and like the power behind what he was trying to convey, especially with the whole leukemia thing as well. Lymphoma.
When he was talking about the lower back pain, because I had seen, was it 50-50 not that long ago, and that's like the key thing they show you early on. I was like, oh no, I know what's coming. But I think a lot of people underestimate how much he acts in that film. Because they've seen him play Rocky quite a few times, but the way he speaks and the way he stands and everything is really different. He's quite a well-spoken guy, quite clearly, like he speaks very clearly.
He can be,
or in a lot of roles, but then when he's Rocky, he changes the way he talks.
He becomes the Italian stallion.
And it's like he is almost like hunched over all the time, and he doesn't stand straight. And there's there is that working class sort of stance to him, like a guy who's like really been beaten a lot of his life.
I got the sense he was sort of channeling a lot of life. I can't remember his name, but the guy that played Mickey. The first ones as well. He's channeling a lot of the Mickey coach.
Well, that's the kind of role.
He's transferring to the older coach. But I thought it was brilliant. I mean, Michael B. Jordan was great. It's not necessarily a standout performance, but what he did was fantastic.
They're seen in the cell together, and the scene where they confront each other in the locker room were both very good scenes. Because they were both really quite raw scenes
and emotional.
But they worked really well. At no point did I feel like it was unnatural or anything wasn't working. Which is really good. One thing I was going to say was, when I was watching this, I think this was done really well, and I don't think any of it was I think it was all organically introduced, but there was so much sequel stuff, so much stuff building up what will come in other films or things that they can build on.
Really?
When I was watching this, for example, the sequel's already been greenlit, which is 2 years from now.
So they're not sure if Coogler's going to be involved because he'll be doing Black Panther. And Michael B. Jordan only wants to return if Coogler's involved.
So it could get delayed. But
which is most likely.
But for example, there's going to be the natural thing, which is his Bianca, which was her hearing thing. That's a progressive thing, and that's going to be something that if they continue,
she was great as well.
She was really good as well. It was really interesting the way their relationship kind of built up, because there was a lot of this. The dialogue was really natural. It wasn't just people just saying exactly how they felt or having typical greetings. It was very minimal in how they communicated, but you got a lot of chemistry from it, which was good.
Well, we clearly know how the sequel is going to play out. I mean, it's following the Rocky formula. I mean,
but we already know who his opponent's probably going to be.
He's come up against, Rocky came up against Apollo Creed in the first one. Goes the distance, goes the 12 rounds, but ultimately loses. So he comes back in the second one and beats him. So clearly, Adonis Creed's going to have to follow Conlon into Liverpudlian prison and have a prison fight with Conlon and beat him.
Could be silly. That's going to happen in the street edition, which will be the later one, like in the original.
Creed 5.
No, I think the one will be because one of the key points of this is that he's the illegitimate son of Apollo Creed. Although I think the name choice is great. Apollo and Adonis Creed. It's just such a great choice of name.
Yeah.
Adonis Johnson.
But his essentially his stepbrother then, the person he asked to train in the beginning, and the fighter who was going to face Conlon, I think that will be the opponent in the next film, because that's the personal. You've got the personal struggle because that's the son, that's the legitimate son of Apollo Creed, and as well as that, that's the fighter that knocks him out in the very beginning, and who was supposed to be on the same level as Conlon.
He was the number 2.
Exactly. So I think that's the next logical step. Conlon, I think, could be one that comes down the line again,
possibly,
because that's the person that beat him. They did. I think it's a good job he didn't win in this, because one thing that it did feel a bit out of place was you didn't feel like he'd been training that long.
Yeah.
Even though they do, because the issue
And
is they
also
give you
the
exact markers.
But you've got montages. Montages convey time.
Yeah. That's the thing. I know it's supposed to be he has been fighting for a long time, but it's behind the scenes. But we didn't see that. As well as that, they do say it's been 6 weeks at this point.
Yeah,
then you've got a fight in 3 months, and then you've got
6 months later.
Altogether, it's only about 6.
That's all the punishment they take, especially him, like the style he fights and all that. It's all about the insults and try to get in the head and taking all them headshots. Like, you're crazy.
But I think that would be one. Imagine if eventually he fights a Dolph Lundgren trained fighter. I was thinking this the other day. I was like, is he going to take on Russia? That could work now. It was just but
man killed my father.
Exactly, it'd be so
becomes
cheesy.
a revenge tale.
But I think that's the next logical step, was his stepbrother's fighter, because they showed his record, and he was the only person they showed the record of. He made an impression at the beginning.
That's
But how did you feel about Conlon as the antagonist, the physical antagonist, I want to say?
He was a good, imposing force. I mean, I don't know.
Because I think it's just that sort of like the British heavyweights, well, it's, like sort of like a Tyson Fury sort of
Well,
character.
that's the thing as well. I only know UFC weights, but that's the thing. It was like I think the thing that really sort of stood out to me for it was I really liked the sort of, me, I like the overly emotional stuff. I'm really bad for that. But they said it himself that he was the physical opposition, but he wasn't by any means the real issue with this. Like you said with the original sort of Rocky, even though Apollo Creed was always a very standout character in that series, this one was more. Apollo Creed was essentially an opposition in this.
He's fighting his legacy. Yeah.
When they're standing opposite, and he says, "This person in the mirror. This is your real opposition." Because
the other guy's just
you ain't no Creed.
The thing I thought was really interesting was there was no doubt in Don's resolve or his ability to perform at any point. There was no doubt that he could fight toe to toe with a guy. It was no, he's better than you, nothing like that. The only thing that was in doubt was his right to bear the name Creed.
Yeah.
And like they said, it was the whole point for him to be able to do well was to prove that he had the same blood in his veins. It was to prove that he wasn't a mistake.
The big thing I would just love was just like his mum, all her moments.
Yeah, when she's
sending him the pants and when she's watching.
Yeah,
and
it
was so well done. Yeah.
Trunks came, just like,
yeah.
But that's the thing, like that was the struggle. The struggle wasn't anything to do with it was completely different from what I expected. It wasn't to do with if he could beat him. It wasn't to do with because there was no doubt at any point as a character that he got nervous and needed to shit.
Yeah,
but that was
that was hilarious.
But you know what I mean?
Put my gloves off.
But you know what I mean? It was his right to have the name. It was his right to say that he could be his father's son.
Well, it's the legacy of Creed.
Yeah, and that's why it's named that so aptly as well.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing as well. Creed is the Muhammad Ali of the series.
Yeah.
Rocky's like the Joe Frazier. He's the guy that took him as close or as far as he's ever been. He's the guy that is known as much as an opposition or like the demon opponent. Yeah. And I thought that worked really well. It was a really sort of deep meaning to put behind this, especially the struggle that both him and Rocky had and the sort of family idea that came into it.
Is there anything we didn't like?
The only thing that looked one was that pacing, like as far as the time goes. But again, I don't think that made such a big thing because they did mention he'd been fighting for years, and he didn't win the fight.
Yeah.
The other thing that was it was probably just weird to me is because I've watched a lot of UFC, so I see this a lot, is his broken orbital, which causes his eye to swell. It did look really obvious to me that it was placed over his eye. Like, as
So
in,
you can tell it was
it was like to a degree. But again, it's because like
you're an expert, Craig.
no, I've had it done so many times.
From purely,
but it was still looked very good for what it was.
From purely a creative approach, the thing that I didn't like was the title cards. The way they
popped up. I actually have that written here. Yeah, to ask you about that.
That took me right. I really didn't like that. Information was fine. It's good to know who these people are. And
but they do say it as well.
They're kind of ranking things.
Graphics,
it's interesting, but the fact that the action pauses and this thing pops out, it feels like you're watching
a sports.
Sports.
Thing,
it makes it almost tacky.
I really didn't like that.
I didn't know.
It took me away from the emotion.
The only one that it was even, I don't even think it was necessary, because they did it for the first guy who we didn't know anything about, the brothers.
They did it for but
I mean, he's the only one we didn't get told the information anyway. Because Leo, they said he's got this many.
Yeah, this is my son. He's
this many unbeaten fighters, this much potential. Same with
Conlon,
obviously, we see the press conference. We see the belts being walked out.
And all his knockouts that he's got with none against him. He's never been knocked out.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the information was interesting, but I felt it was completely unnecessary in the actual progression of the film.
Yeah. I agree with that. But overall, it was a very enjoyable film. It got you excited like a Rocky. It almost makes you think you could be interested in boxing. Almost, but it was just an exciting, great film.
It's just bringing back the glory of the old Rocky films.
Yeah, it's a story you thought was finished. They've just shown you a way that you could see what can come. But
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm just hoping the scheduling kind of lines up then. If
should be a shame of waste.
Like I don't know if they'll throw away a property like that on another director and another actor or another character. And if they're going to continue it, they'll wait until the time's right.
Yeah. But no. So are we gonna?
Do you have much else to say?
I don't think so. I think we're
also Graham McTavish is in it. He's the
the manager of
the
Common.
managers.
Yeah, you remember him from The Hobbit?
That was great. Yeah,
he was good.
Were we whelmed, overwhelmed, or underwhelmed? Craig.
I always say overwhelmed.
Of course you do.
No, I got really sucked into it. It's definitely not like.
That's also you leave it quite happy, which is a nice twist with like all the films we've seen. That's sort of like we're not sure what we think, or it's been like, oh yeah, that was.
I love the last shot of that film as well.
That was a complete tie back to Rocky as well, when he's standing on top of the Philadelphia steps looking down,
and also like fantastic. How joyous all the credit swipes are and all that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You just totally embraced what it was and unashamed.
It was clearly someone who was a fan of Rocky.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely loved the film. Like, it was possibly the most enjoyable film I've seen this year. Like the one I got into. But I'd probably say I was whelmed because it's more of the same, which isn't a bad thing, but it's exactly what I expected it to be. It's the formula, Yeah, I mean, it had those feels tying back to the old Rockies, which is great. But, as a film, it was just... This is good. This is what I want. It's nothing. It didn't make me go.
It's not groundbreaking. It's not like this 10 out of 10 groundbreaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it was great.
But it's
We're seeing. Yeah, just the same.
Whelmed.
Yeah.
So it's slightly above whelmed.
So the other film that Irv and I managed to catch this week was Room, not to be confused with The Room.
That masterpiece.
A Tommy Wiseau masterpiece.
Yes.
No, not to detract from Room, but it's a very intense story. It's about a mother, played by Brie Larson, who's been trapped in what is essentially a garden shed for 7 years. Kidnapped when she was 17 and subjected to all the torture you could imagine a young girl would be imprisoned by someone, which resulted in the birth of her son, who's turns 5. So he was born in the room. He knows nothing of the outside world. So there's from the outset, there's this contrast between the open-minded, youthful approach of the fantastic performance by Jacob Tremblay, by this kid who's trapped in this room, no idea of the outside world. To him, the entire world is room. And the way that
everything else is not real.
The way that he's been brought up, like they have a TV, but everything on the TV is imaginary from other planets. It's television planets and all this.
The aliens.
It's the aliens. All this fantastic imagery that's going on in this innocent child's mind, and compare that to
The horror.
the horror, that the mother is experiencing. Know that she's been trapped in here for 7 years. She obviously loves her son, but he's still the product of her kidnapper and what she's been subjected to. And you know, that again, that's a career changing performance for Brie Larson as well. It's utterly fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's more to it, but you know, the main focus is these two characters and the
their
room.
bond.
Their bond and the room itself. But it was it broke me. It was
broke us multiple times.
It's a emotional roller coaster.
And it's not to put that lightly, because it's like fluttered around for so many things, or it's like, you know, someone has a, you know, just a flippant moment, or you know, and it's baity, but this was, you know, real hard hitting, especially how it starts, because also, you know, with the subject matter, it's got all the grounds for, like, you know, a horror film, and it's not like that at all. It's
like full on psychological horror. It could be, you know, it's all set in the room, so it could go almost
like
the way of
Cabin Fever,
or even Buried with Ryan Reynolds. It could go that direction, but it never does. I mean, it's also, I guess, a testament to the direction as well, and the cinematography. I mean, you know, you spend the first hour in room, which is and
it feels like an eternity, because like it almost like you start to feel it drag on, and you're not too sure where this is going to go, and especially when you get past that first part, especially when it's that journey outwards the room, and where you have that first little point and you think, oh, this is it, you know, it's going to be over really soon. There's life outside room.
There's a lot more outside room, but all the time that you spend in there, you know, the director's constantly finding different angles and different ways to look at room, in the way like, it doesn't feel small, which is it's great,
which is amazing.
The way it's conveyed,
especially how that ties up in the end when, well, we'll talk about like all the other stuff, but just to show off the cinematography and how amazing that feeling is when you're inside room, when it cuts to the end where you go back and you visit room, and it's completely alien. It
is just a shed.
Totally bereft of the character and the wonder that is built up in this place. You know, it's horrific. The subject matter, but the way Joy is able to completely transform the perception of this place for her young child is amazing. I've got down, was it like what I call John Coffey moments, which is just like the breakers. I'm John Coffey. So, the moment, the really heart wrenching gut punch moments. So for me, I had like 3 standouts, because everything's like so intense, like especially like the escape plans, the numerous escape plans. I think the big thing is when the kid gets found, and is in the police car, and they're trying to work out, and it's the way the detective just works out, it breaks down every
the direction that he's come from, and the 3 stops.
And when she clicks that and she knows where she is, I was like, oh my god, I'm gone. And especially when it's just that rushing, because you have no idea what's going on. They
arrive at, you don't even know if it's the house, because you've never seen it from the front, so they arrive at what does turn out to be where a room is, but your entire view comes from the backseat of the police car, from the cop car, and you have no idea where this is actually going to go.
And just with like Jack's perspective, you know, and he's embracing all these things for the first time, like the scene with like him in the back of the pickup truck, and he sees the sky for the first time, well, like as a beautiful expanse. You know, it's all really powerful stuff. Didn't manage to shed not a tear, but trying to hold the face together. I was like,
I shed many a manly tear during this film.
I was like, you're stroking your beard quite a lot, just wiping it all away.
It's it asks a lot of you.
Especially if you sort of feel it drag at the start, you know, because essentially how it opens, it's almost like a bright indie movie, like with the music. The music adds so much color and innocence.
You start with the skylight, and then what is the the soundproofing panels. It does seem
the sinister overtones,
start to creep in.
It's when he visits every Sunday, drops off supplies and all the other things, when he's forced into the cupboard, and then the second John Coffey moment is like when they're in the hospital, and then it's just when the grandparents come in.
Oh yeah, when
thank you, Jack, for saving my daughter. I was like, just keep it together.
Yeah, that was
you know. 'Cause especially with this, like, I'd gone in totally blind. I'd only known about like the sort of scenario, you know, the horrific scenario, but I didn't know any context. You know, if it was a kidnapping, all this sort of thing. I just knew, you know,
how much context was going to be explored. Yeah,
because when you feel like you spend an entire room, it's amazing how this movie feels like so much more.
Yeah. Well, it's not just the psychological horror of being trapped in room, but it's also once they're out. I mean, again, for Jack, for the child, the whole world's opening up now. He's starting to discover who he is, because he's like, to be fair, he's never had anything horrific done to him. I mean, like, that is his existence. He's innocent. That's fine.
Yeah, getting out is so isolated for so long.
Getting out is different. It's difficult, but he has the chance to then expand outwards from that. But for Joy, for the mother, you know, the horror life takes a turn. Like, it's not, oh, I'm free, everything's going to be fine. It doesn't work like that.
It's just like, where's my life gone?
Yeah.
Especially when she's looking like at schoolmates and, you know, they've all had a life, you know, I haven't. It's been, and where everything creeps up from, and especially like we're both big fans of sci-fi, and they use just all the little ideas or, you know, big themes when it's all about, you know, like reality that's handled really well.
Yeah.
You know, because something like that would work as a thought experiment without the horrific context.
Yeah, completely.
But the way it touches on all those things works so well, because you could get lost in everything, or it becomes too portentous, or just, you know, or you just talked about the horror, or so overly sentimental, but everything just works just fine.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
There was,
and then there's also
the final gut punch, as it were, is the
final gut punch is
I love you, Grandma.
I love you, Grandma, when he's getting his hair cut.
Yeah.
Because that was a funny thing. Everyone, at first you assume it's a little girl.
Yeah.
You know, he's had this beautiful
flowing locks, Samson-esque, as he puts it.
And it's like, it helps make you strong.
Yeah, it is his strong. Oh yeah, because he wants to
give his strong
to his mum, who's back in the hospital.
Yeah, to help make her strong, and it's just
to help her recover.
Yeah, just that moment.
That's a beautiful
moment. I
moment.
love you, Grandma, and then just that break.
Yeah, she just, like, everything just pauses. It's just
and you're not sure if she's going to say it back, and she wells up, and, you know, it's like, I love you too, Jack, and and also when it touches on all those other things, you know, 'cause you forget, like, these sort of things happen all the time with, like, kidnappings, missing persons, but you forget how horrific it is.
Yeah, and how it's also not just
the individual case.
Yeah, it's not just the person that's kidnapped that is affected by this. I mean, this tears her family apart, and I mean the performance from the mother.
Is it
Joan Allen? Is it?
Yeah.
The performance from Joan Allen as the grandmother is fantastic. But also
you've got the counterpoint,
criminally underused, but very poignant in where he's there. Is the performance from William H. Macy. You know, he can't
just instant dismissal.
Yeah, he can't look at Jack, because to him Jack is a physical reminder and a physical evidence, I suppose, of
someone who took your daughter away,
of what's happened to your daughter for 7 years.
Yeah.
So, like, he's only in the film for a short amount of time, but it's extremely poignant, and that was very, very gut wrenching as well.
Yeah, especially perspective.
I keep saying that, but it really was.
Because especially it's not something that you're sympathetic to, but you can understand where it's coming from. But you just want to get over that. 'Cause it's also great because it just portrays how great Jack is in this.
Yeah, well, again, it's a contrast to Jack's innocence.
Yeah, and also, and it's not just, you know, a totally gut wrenching film. It's really funny as well.
Yeah, it's got a lot of joy to it. A lot comes from the performance from Jack. I mean,
just, you know, use of language, his perception of the world.
Yeah.
When he sees little rat, and he's just fantastic.
I mean, a lot can also be said there for the director and for the writer as well. I mean, because kid actors are, you know, you get good ones, you get bad ones, but a lot of the time it is from the direction that they get. I mean, because
You killed the best performance.
yeah, the kid's not going to be able to just walk in and give that sort of performance just off the bat like Brie Larson would have. I mean, it comes from Lenny
Experience
Abrams
and training
from the direction that he's given. You know, it's the way the shots are set up and what the child's told to do.
Yeah.
So that's a testament to the director as well.
Especially when you're dealing with such like this sort of subject matter as well.
Yeah,
how
I mean,
much you can't tell.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, the kid that played him, Jacob Tremblay. He's older than 5.
Yeah, he's about 9.
He's about 9 or 10 or something. Yeah, but yeah, there's only so much that this child is going to understand about the subject matter. But
that's sensational.
It was sensational, completely and utterly overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think it just like ended perfectly for that sort of thematic closure and then also their own closure. It was just him. He wants to go back to room, but just to say goodbye.
To move on.
Yeah. Now he says goodbye to all the items in his life.
Yeah, because of the start when he wakes up, he's saying
Hi,
hello,
lamp.
morning lamp, morning wardrobe,
Yeah.
morning sink, and then he's saying goodbye to everything at the end. Well, he's literally saying goodbye to his world.
Yeah.
So take the next step.
And goodbye to his mum's horror, and the way she melts that at the end is really
that's
good.
very poignant.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much more to say really. I mean, you need to see it to really appreciate it, but don't go in.
Go in prepared.
Go in prepared.
Bring some hankies if you need.
Yeah, prepare for a very harrowing thing, but
there's still
harrowing, but ultimately rewarding film.
Yeah, it's still very wholesome. There's still uplift, especially just like the perspectives to get around.
Yeah. And the idea of
like that.
family that's carried through as well.
Yeah, and the bond, you know, that overcomes all.
Yeah.
So, but we definitely chose the wrong order of series.
Yeah, Creed then Room.
Creed then Room.
No.
So, that's also our recommendation. If you're going to see multiple films, see Room first.
And then you can use something else to cheer yourself up.
Yeah. But sensational, and just even comparing like with our usual rating system, it just pushes everything way back. Just for something that's so emotionally charged and that you really connect with.
It's its own beast, as it were.
Yeah. Because you look back at like Revenant, spoilers and all that, but you know when his son dies, and you're like,
Revenant is
irrelevant.
Irrelevant. No, Revenant is it's gritty, it's hardcore, it's in your face, but it's
again completely different styles of film.
Completely different style of film.
That real emotional contact.
But it's just none of the horror that Room has overarching it.
And it's just a testament to the film, because it could have turned out so badly, or any sort of
the premise, saying because it's based on a book, but the premise of bringing that kind of a book to the screen, it's a very daunting one, but it's handled exceptionally well.
Because I was looking up all just other bits, and everyone else's common breaking points are just like the grandma, just like love your grandma, so I was like so. But totally recommend it.
Yep, completely.
I wouldn't be unhappy if this won Best Picture.
No.
Deserved.
Brie Larson definitely deserves the
and if
Best Actress.
If the wee kid was nominated, he'd just walk away with it.
Outstanding performance.
Outstanding.
I hope that conversation was riveting. You both look like you've been deflated by it.
Yeah, it's like reliving a harrowing experience.
Yeah,
can't wait to see it tomorrow morning on my day off.
You're gonna love it. It's gonna set up your day perfectly.
Yeah,
I am emotionally very fragile, so I expect to be completely fine.
Well, that was another thing I meant to tie you in, because I remember I was wanting to watch things that broke me, and watch Steins Gate, and I was like, it's okay, but I'm still not broken. And then I watched this, and I was like, oh my god.
All the messages. I need ice cream.
my mind was not ready.
No.
I prescribed some Rick and Morty.
And that helped me get through the night.
Yeah.
Well, that was that's 2 this week instead of the usual one. That's good. We'll see how it goes next week. We've got a few things coming out in the next week.
So you'll be able to chime in your perspective next week.
Yeah, you can
as well. I'll give a brief little bit.
Drop in your 2 cents next week.
Might be a wee bit more wholesome, considering it's just
just darkness.
I'll also have a week to recover. So,
but
you'll have a week's retrospective.
But it's not to sell it as like a dour film. It's great.
No, it's a fantastic film. There's a lot of
some really
heartfelt moments in it, but it's the premise is very dark, very harrowing.
Yeah.
And then the next week we have Spotlight.
The Big Short.
And it's The Big Short.
Spotlight's a while away. I think it's a couple of weeks.
Big Short then.
Big Short is next.
Looking forward to that. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to both of them, but yeah, look forward to The Big Short next week.
And maybe Dirty Grandpa with its 2 out of 10.
Oh, it's stellar reviews that it has been receiving across the board. Comedy epic of the year.
Well, if we need anything to make me give a lower rating, maybe that's what I should see.
But yeah, no, we'll catch The Big Short next week, and we'll have Craig's input on Room as well as Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be good. But yeah, that's a good point.